Welcome to the Landy Peak podcast. I'm your host and friend, Landy Peak, and I am thrilled to have you join me. In each episode, we will explore what makes life truly fulfilling: happiness, deep connections, and self-discovery. Together, we'll uncover that happiness is not a destination, but a way of living. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Hello there, friends. This is Landy Peak, and welcome to this episode of the Landy Peak podcast. We're continuing an incredible series called Me in the Middle. In this series, over the next few weeks, we are going to dive into all those wild and wonderful changes life throws our way in our fabulous 40s. Welcome. I am so thrilled to have Melissa O'Neill. She is just going to rock your world with her enthusiasm and excitement and incredible stories as she shares a little bit about her life and her experiences. Melissa, can you share a little bit about you and introduce yourself?
Hey, so I'm super excited to be here today. I am an occupational therapist by trade, but my family and I actually travel full time. So it's my husband, myself, our 15-year-old son, and the dog. We can't forget about the dog. Um, she's the family mascot. So we travel full time with the goal of visiting all 50 states. We're at 47 right now, and it's a lot of fun. It does come with its challenges. But before we started traveling full time, the Great Recession hit our family really hard, right at the same time that we were having our son. And we basically lost our house, everything. We moved back in with my parents, not what anybody wants to do once they're married, but it's what we had to do at the time. And so we figured out how to start our life sober. And that's when both my husband and I went back to school and got our undergraduate and graduate degrees, set out with a goal to finish debt free, even though we had no idea how, since we were living on the poverty level. And we did it. And then as we neared the end of my schooling, we decided we wanted to explore because we didn't want to stay in Kansas, but we didn't know where we wanted to be. And there was so much to see. And so kind of morphed to set out on that journey. But during the past 10 years, I still do a few of my favorite clients I agreed to still help, but I had been working with mom and baby in postpartum or during postpartum in their homes after birth. And I absolutely love it because it's an area that's lacking in care. And it's a hard time. Like it's a joyful time, but it's also a really hard time. So I have so much love and passion for that area. But I wanted to keep doing something with that. So while I was in school, I launched my business and set up this whole thing where to meet with clients virtually while I was traveling so I could help them virtually. Like, what are your issues that you're having with your baby, with sleep, with breastfeeding, with whatever it might be? And so I started building it up and I was getting clients. And then once I started traveling, I was like, this doesn't work. Like, how am I supposed to have my husband, a software engineer, in his meetings talking about Jira and code and whatever he talks about, and I'm trying to have this intimate, private conversation with a client. And so then it came to like a point where I was kind of struggling with myself because I was like, what am I supposed to do? Because I have my degree now. And like I had this business plan I was going to do, and it's going nowhere, is what I felt like. And so I just kind of ended up taking almost 2 years where I worked a little bit with clients in person. I would travel with them, help them a little bit with babies, but my virtual stuff just kind of shut down because then I was at a loss. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And so I just kind of let it be. And the thing that really got to me that was hard, which I love kids because they're so brutally honest. I would say that I'm going to do this stuff and I like that I want to do this and I want to do that. And my son started saying, "Well, you keep saying you're going to do things, you never do them." And I'm like, "Oof, that hurts." But I'm like, "But it's true." And so then I felt like I was leading this bad example for my son by saying, I'm going to do things and not do them, which then, made me feel even more sad about trying to figure out what I was supposed to do virtually as an OT using my skills. And all of a sudden, people started asking me what I was doing. Like, what do you like, how did you do that with moms? Oh, what did that look like? That's amazing. I wish I could learn how to do it. So then it started to morph like my mindset, where I was like, maybe that's where I'm supposed to go instead. And yeah, so that's kind of that was really long. But that's a
Okay.
kind of like my journey to where I am right now with, trying to figure out a little bit about me and where I'm going and what I'm doing. And this like I'm supposed to be really successful right now because I'm almost 40, but what am I doing?
Yes. And you're not alone because there are so many of us, and I have a huge therapist group that that is my cohort, those OTPT speech social workers, and we're all in that same struggle. We're hitting this kind of midpoint, end of 30s, beginning of 40s space where we're really reevaluating and rethinking our lives, and we're pulled in so many directions that it doesn't feel like we can just burst through and be like, this is me and this is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm being a mom, and you're traveling, and we're trying to juggle all of these other things. So you're in good company. And I am so excited to chat more about where you are. So I would love you to tell listeners exactly where you are, because you're not just sitting in a home office.
So I actually, well, right now we are renting a van because we did own one and we're building out a bigger rig because let me tell you, I want my own washer and dryer.
Oh, I bet.
And I want my own little kitchen that has like a stove and oven, like a proper stove and oven, and I want like a proper bathroom. And our son he grew like a foot in the last year. No joke. My husband is 6'7", so if that gives you a perspective, like he has a lot of growing to do. And so he kind of grew out of the past van that we owned, and so we're in the process of building a new rig. So I'm sitting here in a rental van in Corpus Christi, Texas. My husband and son are out riding bike, and we're just kind of exploring and enjoying warmer temperatures instead of being stuck in the cold. And yeah, that's kind of where I am personally at in my life right now.
Right. I love that because you came on video and we're recording video, but audio will be released. So you came on and here you're in the van. And it's fabulous because I wanted to ask first thing, like, where are you? So Corpus Christi. You also had said you've seen 47 states. What are the states you have not been to yet?
Nevada, Oregon, and Washington.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking it was gonna be
Yeah.
like Hawaii and Alaska and
No, we actually did those this year. We did Hawaii for 16 days in April, and then we drove to Alaska and back in 9 weeks this summer. And that was, let me tell you, it was amazing. It was a drive, it was a journey, but it was just absolutely amazing. So.
that is incredible. So with the series, one of the big things that I'm exploring as I'm talking to people is feeling like that you're this me stuck in the middle. So I would love if you would share a little bit about your perception of yourself as me in the middle.
So when you say that, what automatically comes to my mind, I'm not sure if that's where you're going with it, is that you see other people doing things and you feel like, well, people are already doing this, or I can't compete with them, or they're probably better than me, or what if I'm not good enough? And so then I feel like that's where I personally found myself stuck in the middle, is because I kept looking at other people and comparing myself to other people and not really just looking at me and what I have to offer. And I would say where I finally came out of that is because I mentioned that I work with mom and baby postpartum, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. Um, I only worked by referral. I never went and found my clients. But in my head, like, 5 years ago, I would say to myself, why do people want me? Like, I'm just Melissa. I'm not that great. Like, why would they want me? But people kept asking for me. And then it became this thing where people were saying, like, giving me nicknames like Saint Melissa, Magic Melissa, and like say, oh, like I would meet people's friends. They're like, oh my goodness, they talk so highly of you. They love you so much. And like, we can't live without you when you walk in the door. We know it's going to be okay. And then I was like, maybe I am good, or not maybe, like I am good enough. And so it just became like listening to the world around me allowed me to shut down the voices you have in your head that are trying to tell you you're not good enough. And then I started to realize that just because other people, might work with mom's postpartum or Other people might help with certain things. It doesn't mean there's not a place in the world for my services because I'm not them and they're not me. And everybody needs different things. And so that's kind of where I guess I would go with that question. And so the last couple years is where I've really came out of that, I'm not good enough, and allowing myself to talk myself down and not just believing in myself and moving into like positive affirmations and, really speaking good into my life instead of my new thing, and I would say the last 4 years has been saying cancel clear. So if I say I can't do that, then, or I can't, or I'm not good enough, then I automatically now find myself after creating a habit of saying cancel clear. That's not true. I am good enough to do anything that I set my mind to, and I am valued, or, whatever it might be in that situation. So that's where I would go with that question.
I love that. And I love the tool of cancel clear because it's like this little pause in that thought. It's the break of the thought pattern to say, nope, nope, that's not what I'm going to buy into anymore. And I think that is such a powerful thing that listeners can take and start using and like, wait, let's break those patterns. Because I think so many women um, really use, or let me back up. I think so many humans, I was going to say women, but I think it's humans. I think so many humans have this down talk to themselves where we don't believe in ourselves. We have, and whether we got this from external sources or it's an internal thing, I don't know. But we have all this, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I can't do that. And we do this comparison game so much in our lives where we're seeing people who, quote unquote, are successful, are what we want to be. And then we compare where we are now to where they are and how we find ourselves lacking because we're not exactly where they are.
Yep.
And
And it keeps us frozen. So then we don't move forward because we're frozen by these lies essentially that we're telling ourselves. So
yes,
like, and I really truly believe, um, like COVID was really hard for a lot of people. It was really hard for our son. And so we kind of moved into talking a lot about affirmations and positivity and what you tell your consciously what you say, your subconscious doesn't have any idea if it's true or not. And so that's what it makes reality. So if you tell it that, I am a successful business owner, I am good at whatever you want to be at, whatever, the things that you want, if you speak it as though it's already happened, then your subconscious is going to go out making it happen because that's what it thinks is reality. And that's really, I feel like, has been life changing for us. And then for me, and aspects of being able to run a business and believing in myself and supporting other people and not just allowing myself to freeze in fear, because and then when you freeze in fear, then you start to feel frustrated at yourself because you're not doing something, and like you're not making something of your life, or you feel like you should be doing it but you're not doing it, and you'll start and then you stop. There's one thing that I has really hit home with me. I have like a coaching program, like a kind of mentorship that I'm in, then I'll do like calls and stuff. And one that I was in the other day, the guy was talking about, if you imagine a circle and inside of the circle is a little dot, that's you. And that's your comfort zone. And we just kind of spin around and around that comfort zone. We stay right there because it feels safe. And then you might go to the edge of the circle and you jump outside of it, but it's scary because it's unknown and you've never done it before. So you run right back to your comfort zone because like maybe you failed when you jumped out because you had no idea what you were supposed to do out there. And so you go back to that circle. Maybe you try to creep back to that like uncomfortable area, the edge of the circle again, but you just keep going back to that same place where it feels safe, which means your circle's never going to grow, right? Because you stay in that same place. So he was like, what if you just go to the edge of the circle and you look over the edge of it and you see what's out there and you say, I'm just going to do this one thing. Like, I'm just going to, talk to this one person, or I'm just going to, make this one post or write this one blog or whatever it might be, to where you just feel a little bit more comfortable or like, okay, I did that. And so it'll be easier for you to get to that uncomfortable area of your circle. And eventually that becomes your new comfort zone. And then you just can kind of keep growing and growing. And I was like, that's a really good point because a lot of times we get to that uncomfortable place and then we we get frozen or we maybe mess up, and then we just allow ourselves to go right back to where we feel comfortable, which is not growth. And me personally, and I believe most people want to grow, they want to do new things, they want to succeed, they want to help people, they want to reach their dreams, but then you're right back at your little circle in the middle. And then you feel mad at yourself because you just keep staying right in your little safety zone.
Oh, exactly. One of the things I use is like 60 seconds of bravery. And there's so many things that, it takes a minute to go through. I mean, you can write the email or whatever first or the post, but then it's actually just that sending it. And sometimes it's less than 60 seconds. Sometimes it'll be 5 minutes. But I give myself that time frame so that I am growing and pushing those boundaries, but I also am maintaining boundaries. I'm only doing this for a minute. And it doesn't take long to, put a post on Instagram or send that email or make that phone call, but it's that little bit of growth. So same idea, we're stretching, but we're not boomeranging where we're going way out of bounds and then going right back to where we are feeling comfort. Because
Mhm.
I love, and I heard from another guest on this show where she talked about our comfort zone is really just because it's familiar. And you're hitting on that same idea where we're staying in here. It's uncomfortable to be here, but it is just familiar. And we don't like that stuck, is where we're feeling when we're feeling really stuck. She said we're feeling stuck because we're in this zone of comfort and we
But
want.
we don't typically fail there, so it
Yes,
feels safe.
exactly. It is safe. It's uncomfortable, but it's safe. And
Mm-hmm.
that I think is, and I think you just hit right on it, where so many of us are in such discomfort because we're in this safe zone, but we don't know what to do. We don't know how to stretch. We don't know how to go out. We do try to jump and then we get scared and we come back. And that feels like a failure. But it's this slow growth, it's the slow stretching that you're talking about that really I think is the key to making changes in our life. It's not the big drastic things, it's the slow times. I'd love you to share a little bit about that sense of slow growth in your own life, how you are handling and really living with that growth idea while still not knowing exactly where you're going to go and where you're going to end up, and still traveling and being a mom and all of this that comes into that balance of life, but you're growing yourself.
So I really feel like it's come with pushing myself to do little things like you've talked about. So even for me, because we have our family Facebook page where we will share our travels with people, like our friends, family, and people will follow along. It's not like a business. We just do it for fun because even when we were starting to travel, I was like, I'm not, my grandma was like, are you going to share stuff on social media? And I was like, no, grandma, I don't want to make people feel jealous of what we're doing or make people feel like we think we're better than them. And this is also something that made me grow as well. She looked at me and she said, Melissa, it's your life. You do what you want with it. She was like, if people choose to feel jealous about the life that you're living, that's their choice. That's not something that is your responsibility to deal with. And I was like, you're right. And which I feel like has gone into so many areas of my life because I think sometimes we get scared to, you know, push to areas where we're like having more success than we were having because what if other people are jealous of us or what if other people judge us? So I think that's one thing that has really it's really was impactful to me to this day. That was, over 3 years ago that she said that to me, and I will never forget it. It will be something that when she's no longer here, it's always going to be in my mind, and it just plays into so many parts of life. So I would say doing those little things. So kind of going back to where I was saying about our family Facebook page. So we decided to share because grandma said to do it, and we
Right.
got to listen to grandma. And so, I mean, it's been fun because, but outside of that, people send their suggestions to us and they tell us things that we should do, which is helpful in a sense too. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go live on Facebook, which is scary to go live. Like when you've never done it before, that's really scary. But I'm like, I feel like it could help me in other aspects of my life to jump in there and just go live and answer people's questions or talk about things or show places that we're at and whatever it might be. So first I challenged myself with 30 days and it was really hard at first. Like even my husband talks about it too. Like he joins me now, but I initially decided to do it for myself for 30 days. And he was like, when you first started doing it, you would jump on really fast and be like, blah, 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 blah. It's okay, bye. Like I just ramble really fast, blah, whatever. Okay, I'm done. Okay. Like it was just really uncomfortable and awkward. And now it's just become something easier. And so I then step back and look at that, even though that's not like a huge thing, it's just something for fun and how that can play into other senses of my life. So I'm like, yeah, okay, even you with a podcast. The first time you did it, I bet it was really scary. But if you never did it, then you wouldn't go anywhere. So just stepping out there and like doing those little things and allowing yourself to fail in the beginning or not do it perfectly, to do it imperfectly, that's the only way you're really going to grow. And so this is what I'm loving is allowing myself to, do things imperfectly and learn from it. Because if I'm not doing it imperfectly, then I'm not sharing what I'm supposed to be sharing with the world. If I'm not doing things imperfectly, then I'm not helping other people, you know, support mom and baby postpartum. If I'm not doing it imperfectly, then I'm not going into the home and even helping mom and baby postpartum because nobody is perfect. And sometimes I feel like we don't want to do something until we're perfect. We think we're perfect. Maybe we actually aren't perfect because you can never be perfect. You can never know everything. But it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to, even if it is your career and it's, this is your business. If you don't have an answer, that's okay. You can be like, oh my goodness, I've never run into this situation. I don't know that. Let me see if I can find that out for you. And then you can go find out because people respect not knowing as well. And one thing that I found myself stuck in was a cycle of learning. I was constantly feeling like I needed to learn something else because if I learned that something else, then it would probably make me good enough. And then I'd finish learning that. And I'm like, well, what if I took this course? Then I would probably be good enough. And then I take that course, and guess what? I'm sure you can guess it was another course or another something. And so then last year, I promised myself that I was not buying another course. I was not buying another coaching program. I was not signing up for another thing that was going to make me a better person. I was going to do the things that I had, and I was going to move forward and develop what I had already envisioned. And it's been a game changer because now I actually like it's opened my eyes more to like, I could do this as well with my knowledge that I have, and I could support people like this as well with the knowledge that I have. And instead of me just constantly learning something new, because then you have all so many things that like, what are you supposed to share with people? Because you're always just learning something new. So that was a long answer to your question. Hopefully it answered your question though.
Yes, it was perfect. And there's so many nuggets that I want to pull out of that. First, coming back to your grandma, I really would love listeners to hear and take in that when other people are judging, it's their stuff. It's their responsibility. It's their choice to judge. We get to live how we want to live. And the great majority of people, I think, would be super excited and thrilled. And I'm guessing you've kind of found that as you've put it out into the world that you're traveling. How cool. Wouldn't this be amazing? I mean, first thing I said was like, oh my gosh, I am jealous. I would love to travel. It's not in my cards, but I love traveling in the aspects that I can. And we do travel. It's just I can't get in a van and go. But it's something that I watch you on Facebook and I'm like, this is cool. I like seeing different places. I like the energy and the different experiences that you share. And that doesn't have to be I'm jealous in a bad way. That can be this is really cool and supportive. And I would love if I could do that, but it's not in my cards. I love that your grandma is so wise and it is the other person. It is their responsibility. It is their thing. And I think so much we take on and block ourselves because we're worried about what other people will think. And I, like you, have just stepped in as I'm doing the comparison game, because of course we all do it, but really owning that's their journey. So that's their deal. That's their journey. This is me. And if somebody's upset, it's usually about them and really not about me. I mean, even if I look at my kids, when I'm really get triggered and upset with my kids, it's usually about me and not about something they did. It was, they had the like tipping point of, they sassed back. But it was really that internal of, oh my gosh, I'm a bad parent because they said this and they snapped. No, that's all around me. And I love that your grandma's like, put it back on them. Do what you want to do. I also want to step into that idea of doing it imperfectly, because I think that's such a powerful thing, is that we are so worried about doing it perfectly and showing up perfectly and how people are going to see us, but we're not doing it if we're not doing it imperfectly. And you're absolutely right. When I launched the podcast, it's scary and I didn't do it perfectly. There are definitely better ways that I have learned, even in, as I've grown this year with it, to make it easier, to do it more refined. There are ways that I'm learning, and there are still better ways to do it. But if I didn't launch it and getting out, like, I'm stuck. I'm just not going anywhere. I'm not growing. I'm not pushing. So I love just how you've captured all of that as you shared. So I'm curious how the journey has been for you, because you've talked about knowing that postpartum period is really something that you're passionate about, but you're still not quite sure where you're taking your career, still not quite sure how you're going to show up, still not quite sure of like what this is, how you're finding your way in that, not knowing the answer, but just where you are now.
So I would say, with my son saying to me, you always say you're going to do things and you never do them, really hit home. But then not really knowing what I was going to do because, I can't have a private consultation with somebody, with my husband in a meeting. But then when people started asking me what I was going to do, it started to morph into like almost like my calling. That's what I'm supposed to do. And so that's where I'm going now. And it feels good and it feels exciting. Can still talk to clients personally. It doesn't like I still have people that contact me like my baby is doing whatever, like what do you suggest for this? And I love doing that. And I love helping with that. But before it was small and it was just me, but now I'm like I can make it bigger and so many more moms lives and babies lives and families lives, because it's hard for everybody, can be impacted if there's more than just me doing what I was doing. So now it feels like a larger service than just me impacting families lives. It it feels it feels good. And so I'm excited. So I mean, in the middle right now. My website is being developed, rebranded from my past website where I was doing the one-on-one consults individually with moms. And so I'm in the process of rebranding my website. Hopefully it'll be launched in the next like 2-ish weeks. And where it's going to be more so teaching other, OTs, PTs, healthcare professionals, even like moms who just have an impact, or not an impact, have a desire to impact the life of another mom because they knew the struggle from when they had their baby or babies or whatever it might be. And so that's where I'm going now. And it feels really good and it feels really exciting. And I don't feel stuck in that, I need to keep learning something new and I need to take this course. I just am like, okay, how do I keep moving forward one more scary step? And I'm allowing myself to do it. And, just remembering that circle and allowing myself to get out of that safety zone just a little bit more and do one more scary step and be okay with being imperfect, because I wasn't previously okay with being imperfect. I sought perfection and it was holding me back. And so now I feel, oh, I'm still going to have so many challenges and things that are going to come forward. I know it. And there's still lots of things that I'm learning and a lot of things that have to unfold in my business and developing things. But having the mindset that I'm okay with being imperfect and showing up imperfectly. And I want to keep taking steps to get out of the comfort zone and staying just the same, because staying the same is not comfortable either. So I'm tired of that uncomfortable feeling of staying the same. I'm uncomfortable enough that I'm ready to, launch farther. So I would say that's where I am right now. And it is scary, but it's exciting and it feels good at the same time. And I have to find myself like all day, every day when I have those little things jumping into my or trying to jump into my mind saying that I'm not good enough or you should just not do this, like that you probably people aren't going to want to learn from you, or all those negative things, or I'm saying, no, I am good enough. Look at how much the people that I've helped have valued me. I can support other people to help moms and families in the same way, and I can make a larger impact. I do have knowledge to share with people. And so I just am constantly telling myself I am all day long to keep myself from, allowing a frozen stature or just continuing to seek perfection when it's not a reality ever.
Right. It is not a reality. Nobody is perfect. And I think showing that real, raw person is so valuable because we're breaking down that idea that people are perfect. We start to see, oh, they are doing things, they are growing, they are changing, and they're making mistakes. And they're showing up with, whatever it is, messy hair or, a website that has typos. And I know one of my first website I put out, like somebody read it and they're like, there's a typo. It's like, oh, well, thank you, because I'm glad you caught it. At that point was really like, okay, I'm going to use that information and not let it derail me as, oh my gosh, like they found a mistake. I must hide, which is where I was before that. And I love how, because I also was on that train of course after course after course after course that was supposed to fill something in me, but never filled anything in me. But I really want to highlight how you said you can use the knowledge that you have, because you're right. As we just keep adding knowledge, we're not able to really embody the stuff that we already know. And being able to look and say, okay, I'm not going to, and I did the same thing this year, like did not take courses. I took enough to get my CEUs. That's it, but wasn't on this big thing, but really turning inward, really looking at like, okay, this is what I have. This is the knowledge and skills I have. And that's what you're saying is that I have all of this wealth of knowledge and people are valuing this wealth of knowledge. Let's shift and see what I can do with it. And I think that's such a pivotal point for people to hear, that we don't have to keep seeking, that we can really stand on the base that we've already created.
Yes. So I think kind of what you were saying, it makes me think about, I feel like social media, it has a huge impact because a lot of times people portray a perfect life. Like they're perfect. And this is what I decided I was just going to start showing up raw and showing what I think has helped with our lives on social media, what my life is really like. Like, it is not perfect. I'm like, please don't show people the van because it looks like a tornado hit. Well, if you get three things out, it looks like a tornado hit. And that is the reality of my life. And so I like accepting my reality has helped, but then thinking, I have to show up as me in my life. So do I have, I mean, everybody else isn't going to see, but you see like my windshield right now. So I could say, I'm not going to show up with this podcast with her because I don't really like, I am in a van and it doesn't look nice. So I could allow my like imperfect, backdrop or my office space isn't just so keep me from doing things, or I could just show up as who I am. And then I was previously, I'm like, well, I probably need to look really nice when I show up on like, um, meetings or when I do videos. And I'm like, but no, like this is my life. I travel and either people want to be there to hear the knowledge that I have to offer them, or they're worried about how I look. And if how I look is a larger focus for them, then I'm not their person. And so that's kind of what I've really even the last few years are like, if somebody is not okay with who I am and how I show up, then we're not for each other. Like they have to find somebody else to learn from. So if I'm not showing up as just who I am with not my perfect office backdrop and, videos aren't just so, then they can find somebody else. And that's been really helpful for me too, is just being okay with who I am and how my life looks and showing up raw and real and not trying to be that like perfect Instagram, everything looks just so all the time because it doesn't. Nobody's life looks just so all the time.
No, you're right. And I love how freeing it felt because I did the same thing. Stepped into like, this is who I am, very raw and real on the podcast. Um, but it is freeing because there isn't that extra thought process of, do I look okay? Do I sound okay? Oh my gosh, is somebody going to be mad because I said this? It is raw and real. And I almost always have a pile of clean laundry, but we're digging through clean laundry because I hate folding it and that takes extra time. That's part of, if you walk in my house, there's almost always a pile sitting there somewhere. And like all the neighbor kids know because they're in and out of my house all the time. Like that's just part of where things are. And
Your socks are in that pile over there.
I don't even like sort. It's just in the laundry baskets or piled on a chair. It's like, just dig, you're fine. And my kids just dig every morning to find their clothes, and it works. Every once in a while, I'll fold. But I love those people that you walk into their house and it's not pristine because I'm like, oh, you're my people. I met my son had a play date with a brand new little kiddo, and I walked into his mom's house and she's like, there's dishes everywhere and I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, I love you for it. Because that means that you are that kind of person that can walk into my house and I never have to worry that you're going to judge me. It's just going to be, this is real and raw. This is where we are. This is life. Both my husband and I work, kids, chaos. It's crazy, but it's also fun. And it's shifting where our priorities are. And I love that your priority is around getting that information and that the people that you are designed to work with are going to be seeking out the information, not how everything looks in the background.
Yes.
So, what has been something surprising for you as you've gone through this shift in life where you're going from this is what I've done, and I added education, and I'm traveling, and I'm creating a whole new career that really fits all of this?
I would say the most, it's probably going to make me cry. Um, the most surprising and rewarding thing for me is my son, because he looks at me now, and it's important to still make sure that we're balancing everything that we're doing, that you're building a business, you're balancing family time, you're balancing personal time, and you're not just completely like putting yourself into this one thing and you forget about everything else in life. So that's something I've worked hard on. But I talked about before how he was saying, you keep saying that you're going to do stuff and you don't. And now he's cheering me on. And he's like, Mom, that's amazing. You did that? That's so cool. Like he's excited for me. And like you can see that he's watching everything that I'm doing. And a kind of a fun little thing that I do on the side is accessible travel planning. And but anyway, so what stands out with me for this is that like a couple weeks ago, he got out his phone, he did a recording, and he's like, "Hey there, I'm Melissa," and he did this whole like little spiel of like explaining what accessible travel planning was. Like he was listening to me. He's been listening to me, and so like I'm not just hiding in the background, like. He doesn't see anything I'm doing. He doesn't hear anything I'm doing. Like he's been watching and listening to everything that I'm doing. And he's now cheering me on in my successes. And he's not saying, you say you're going to do stuff and you don't. He's now saying, "Oh, you're doing that? That's awesome. I'm so proud of you, Mama. That's really cool. Like, I love that you're working so hard on your stuff." And for me, that's been a game changer. Like, if I knew that I would make such an impact on him watching me doing challenging things, then I might have started sooner instead of making these excuses and worrying about how I would balance it all. So I would say that's my biggest thing right now is seeing how I'm showing him that you can do hard things, that you can do new things, that you can do challenging things, and that it's hard at first and you're not perfect at first, but you get better. And yeah, so that's the most rewarding part of this all is him watching me and him completely changing what he was saying for me, like going from honestly telling his mom that she's doing nothing that she says she's going to do to being one of my biggest cheerleaders.
That is incredible. And I love how he has gotten to really see you do this imperfectly and scary. And because it's such a huge role model for kids, I think, especially to see that not life isn't always easy, but we still do things. We still push ourselves forward. We still take that next scary step. And it's amazing that you have given him that gift of watching you. And I think so many of us aren't necessarily in that space where our kids can watch us. Our kids can see all of the stress and the struggles because they go to school, we go to work somewhere else. I think the incredible gift of being an entrepreneur, especially one working from home, is our kids do see a lot of what we do. And it gives them a lot of um, that sense that they can do things too. And I love that you've given him that gift and that has shifted. That has been a motivation for you in what he has said and how he sees you in that drive to do something different.
Yeah. So it's pretty special. And I feel like it's mostly not even just for my personal stuff, but the impact that I'm making on him, I feel like is valuable because I'm doing the things and not just talking about them. And so we have conversations a lot about that stuff now, and it's just really fun to have that as part of my life and to be able to share it with him. And I really hope that, I mean, I know he'll take it into the future because he sees it. And kids are so, they watch everything that you do and they're easily impacted by things that are happening around them. So I think it's important to lead by example, no matter what that might be. We have to lead by example. We can't just tell them that, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. Well, if we're not doing it, then why are they going to do it? Because, well, you're not doing it, so why do I need to do it?
Exactly. And kids will say that. Absolutely. It's when we see that, it's that model that we see, and we get to, I think our kids pick up more from what they see us do than what we're actually saying. And so if those two align, it's an even stronger message, but they're really watching what we're doing and how we handle things. And I think a lot of that subconsciously, they're picking it up and how they're going to be able to take that on in their own life. And it's such an incredible thing knowing that when we are doing something for ourselves, when we are shifting our lives and changing our lives and changing our inner beings, that it has that ripple effect and it is changing our kids' lives and their kids' lives because it is going to ripple on down.
Yes, such a good point.
I am so curious because you were traveling in a small van, how you really keep your own sense of identity while being in a van traveling with your family while trying to grow a business, while balancing all of the different aspects of your life. How do you still be Melissa?
I feel like that's something that's always ongoing because I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if a lot of other people feel the same way, but things in our lives kind of like morph you. And so over the last, I don't know, I'd say 10 years, I've been really seeking out who I am, which has been great and has been in the last few years, especially really good. But I have to really step back and take time for me. And even like doing my gratitude journal and making sure I'm doing things to take care of myself physically. It's, I mean, it is different, but our family is pretty close. Obviously, we have to be living in this tiny of a space, but it's not the same as, living in a house and having your own little space and having your office or having things set up just so and having a schedule that's always the same. I have to be very intentional about my time and what I'm doing. And so usually I wake up at 6 o'clock every day and I spend that first little bit of the day like mindful affirmations, prayer, things like that, and then move into like doing some of my first tasks that I feel are important for my business during the day to make sure that I'm getting things done like right away in the day and not wasting time. So I think that's also like traveling because I'm not set on any like schedule. Like I'm at work from, 8 to 5. Like I work like randomly throughout the day And so, really making sure that I'm being mindful with my use of time to where I'm not just wasting a 30 minutes away when I could have, when my son is out riding bike or something, and I could have been productive with my business. So then when he comes back, it's like his time. Or maybe when he's out riding bike, I'm taking care of me and doing stuff for my personal self. That way, when he comes back, it's, family time. So it is a balance. And it's something that I've been slowly figuring out because it'll be 3 years at the end of this year that we'll be traveling. And so I feel like I'm slowly figuring it out, but I think it's that way with everything in life. You have to take the time to figure it out. You try something, it doesn't work, so then you try something else, and maybe that worked, but you need to morph something else. And so it's a constant evolving thing based on what's happening in life. So I think that being flexible in adapting to daily life has been something that's really important in my lifestyle.
That is such an incredible thing that I haven't had to deal with. In that, well, let me take it back. My husband's schedule is constantly variety. So my life can be the same. I can have maintain the school schedule, the kids' schedule. I only work these hours, but there is that flux coming in from him. But having your whole life in a consistent flux is a challenge. And I think I'm guessing you have to work even harder at maintaining a balance, because I can get up at 5:30 every morning and have my own time. And typically the kids don't come down early, but I'm having it in my own space at the same time with that routine. So I'm just curious, what is routine like for you? Like, how do you have a sense of routine, or is everything just in flux?
I would say the morning is a sense of routine for me, and the evening is typically more routine for our family. Not always, it depends, but typically we try to stick with a routine in the evenings where we, have our dinner. We like to play games together as a family and kind of wind down. And then usually our son crawls into bed and I'll maybe finish up a last few little things that I wanted to do for the day, like message some people back or whatever it might be. But it's the middle of the day that is very fluid for me, where it's never the same. I'm never working on anything at the same time because maybe I need to drive so my husband can work while we drive, or we decided we're going to go to a museum because we're right by the museum, or we're going to visit a historic site because we're right by it. And so that's where the middle of the day for me, and it's still something that I'm trying to make myself be like very focused and intentional with my time. And an affirmation that I have now is that I am focused. I use my time productively so that it's a mindset that I have. Like my conscious mind believes that I am focused and intentional because it's that middle of the day that is the harder time for me because there's just things going on. And I feel like I can get easily distracted because I'm like, oh, where are you going? Oh, okay, what's happening? And so, and since I don't already have something like set in stone that like, from this time to this time, it's me time where I'm working on my business or whatever. It's more of like, okay, like we just got to this place, we finished this museum, and now I'm going to take 30 minutes to work on my stuff. So I have to be intentional about pulling out those times during the day to get things done, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. And I'm curious how much, and I'm just thinking through my life because I do have more set times of business. This is where my work hours are, which is when my kids are in school. Um, but having to be more intentional, how much more, like, I don't want to say productive, but how much more focused you are because it is that intentional time versus kind of I have to get this, and this done, in this space time. Interesting. Um, okay. I'm curious about the sense of community. How is it traveling? And do you have like a sense of community, support systems? How does that work to have those connections?
I would say a lot of it is virtual. So I have a group, like a coaching group. It's one of the courses that I got quite a few years ago, and we have like meetings. Like you can go to a meeting every single day, Monday through Friday, and jump on other meetings and have like coaching calls and ask questions. And so I feel like and jump in like groups and ask questions. I feel like my sense of community is virtual because I'm not going to, I also don't know any, because I'm from Kansas City area, and I don't know of anybody that was doing anything close to what I was doing in terms of work. And not a lot of people travel full time. So sometimes it's harder for people to relate to our life, I think, if that makes sense. And so they don't like when we'll come into town, they don't really know how to well, do they want to meet up with us? Or so it's, I don't know, we really have to work harder to have like an in-person sense of community, but we have a lot of online sense of community. And so the in-person stuff is more intentional. We meet a lot of random people, talk with a lot of random people, learn a lot of cool things from people, but that like consistent sense of in-person sense of community is different for us.
I bet. I work virtually, so like my sense of community is also virtual. My day is virtual. And so I understand that connection in that virtual space. But we also do live in a neighborhood and have community. That's very cool. Thank you. Is there anything else before we are done? Because I want to honor your time that you would like to share with listeners.
I was going to say, just to remember, I mean, if they have kids, remember that they're watching, no matter how old they are or how young they are watching. So do those things that seem scary and hard so they know they can do those things as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for this incredible conversation. I am so thrilled to be able to sit and chat with you.
Thank you.
Hey, before you go, just a little bit of legal. This podcast is designed for educational purposes only. It is not to replace any expert advice from your doctors, therapists, coaches, or any other professional that you would work with. It's just a chat with a friend, me, where we get curious about ideas, thoughts, and things that are going on in our lives. And as we're talking about friends, if you know someone who would benefit from the conversation today, please share. Because I think the more that we open up these conversations, the more benefit we all get. So until next time, give yourself a big hug from me and stay curious, because that's the fun in this world.